Welcome. I am Marilyn Burnett. I am your astrologer here with the messages for the week of February 19th, which will include the full moon in Virgo. So we'll do a deep dive on that. If you are new to my channel, please consider clicking on the subscribe button. Give me a big like and feel free to share my work with somebody that you think can benefit from it. Now, as we meet each week, I give you what I call an astro lesson. And then separately in another video, I actually pull a tarot card for every sun, moon, and rising sign as well. So you want to look for that. I'll have that link shared below for you as well. So let's jump right in so that we can cover all of the important details that are coming up this week. And we'll get started with Monday. Now, on the chart here, you will see that the sun here has moved into the sign of Pisces. So technically this happened on Sunday, but of course on Monday we're still looking at 0 degrees, and anytime we have a planet that enters that 0 degree point, that is a time where we are experiencing brand new things and brand new energy. Now, Pisces is the 12th house. It's the last house. It is the place where we have things that are hidden and unseen. There can be psychological work that we're doing. The work here is the completion work, right? This is house 12, 1 through 12. So as we get to the last house of our lessons through the astrology chart, this is the time where we put together all of the things that we have been learning to this point. And then next month, we'll have the new moon in Aries, and it will be a part of a solar eclipse. So finish the work. Otherwise, the eclipse will finish it for you, and that's never any fun. So we're starting out with that, and then we see continuing a few things this week. We have both Saturn, which is now clear of its post shadow from last year's retrograde. So it is now moving forward. So this is all new territory for us. And then the other piece is, while it's been moving forward, it has been keeping pace with Jupiter in Taurus, who is still in its post shadow from, again, last year's retrograde work. And it will continue post shadow until it hits 15 degrees. And then it will also pick up the pace because it's been moving very slowly as it has made its turn. So we have that effort that we see with this blue line that creates a sextile, and you want to take advantage of any leaders, any teachers, mentors that have been showing up that are trying to guide you in a particular way. So this is really good energy to be able to take advantage of, and we still have it this week. So make sure that you are fully taking advantage of it. All right. That little extra piece here that you'll see a little later, if I were to move this forward a few hours, is you'll see this harmonious energy that will exist between Saturn and the moon, and still Saturn and Jupiter. So when we have those three, so the moon, Saturn, and Jupiter talking in harmony, paying attention to your intuition, especially on Monday, there is something really important coming up for you. So be sure that you are tuning in so that you get the information that you need. All right, let's move on. We are going to see, this is kind of a light week, and I'm going to spend most of the time speaking about the full moon in Virgo. Now, I don't talk about too much the activity of just the moon, but when the moon is speaking in a conversation with its nodes, these faded points in the sky that rule our destiny and our karma, and the moon squares to them from its home sign, again, there is something very fated and karmic that can come up for you on Tuesday. Something, again, that you have to listen to and pay attention to your emotions, your feelings, your intuition, because they're trying to guide you to make a change. So when we have the square, the triangle creates a T-square. That means there's pressure between the fates, right? North node where you're going, the south node where you've been, and this moon, and that pressure point is escaping through the moon. So you just have to be a little careful with your emotions and your outbursts on Tuesday, because you can tend to overreact a little bit, and you don't want to do that. All right, let's take a look at Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we see a little bit more pressure building up as that Pluto energy and still at the 0, but we're almost going to move. In fact, we will move tomorrow so that we're at the 1 degree point. So all the new things that we've been uncovering with Pluto in Aquarius are really going to shift as it gets off of the 0 degree point and moves to 1, which we did not see last year fully, and this is going to be something that's important for us to pay attention to. As it's making its movement, it is having a conversation in opposition to the moon. So the moon will move into the sign of Leo, directly be opposing Pluto, and that creates some tension. Again, emotionally, there's a lot of tension. There can be tension between leaders because Leo is a sign of leaders and leadership. Maybe it's a woman in leadership who is having difficulty with this Pluto energy. So this could be an interesting day as we look at Wednesday. The other thing that you're going to see that's continuing this week is that North Node and Chiron are still marching closer and closer together. The North Node goes past here and has moved away technically from Chiron. So they had a very distinct conversation and you were shown something. What do I need to heal about myself, my self-confidence, my independence? That's Chiron wants you to heal it. The North Node wants you choosing yourself this year. This North Node in Aries will stay here through the end of the year. What do you need to do to choose yourself, to make better choices for yourself, to remain strong and independent? Where's your inner warrior at? And the South Node in Libra continues to dissolve relationships that are out of balance, legal issues that are unfair. All of those things are being worked on, and we've seen a lot of things going on in the realm of justice, which is what Libra is a big part of. So we'll see that continue between these two all the way through the end of this month. And at the end of this month, which will be next week's conversation, we have some really exciting energy coming up as well. All right. The other energy that we'll see here as we move into Thursday is a lot of the same, but we'll have, ta-da, Pluto has now moved to 1 degree. So as we experience the new degrees with Pluto and Aquarius, new things can come up. The number 1, of course, is about new beginnings. So there can be something new that comes up that involves other people. It could be friend groups, service groups. This is we type of energy. And then you'll see that we have Mars and Venus conjunct in Aquarius as well. So these are the lovers of the zodiac. And there can be a joining together of two people in the collective that are notable. But you can also feel very passionate about making a difference, becoming a part of something bigger than you, and falling in love, right? This is, of course, Venus and Mars. So this is, again, more fun, exciting energy that comes to us on Thursday. The other thing that's going to start wrapping up on Thursday is Mercury in Aquarius. So this is going to move Mercury into the sign of Pisces, where it's going to be very close to the sun for quite some time, at least for the next week. And they're both, the sun and Mercury, are going to be joining and getting closer and closer to Saturn as well. So as Mercury moves out of Aquarius, where your thinking is more about group mentality, and moves into the sign of Pisces, we're making a shift in our thinking, and it can have more to do with spirituality. It can have to do with the arts. It could be your psychic abilities that are awakened as well. So start to notice that your thoughts are going to shift, but also that Pisces energy is all things that are hidden and beneath the surface. So people like me who are hypnotherapists like this energy and the ability that we have to help people remove subconscious blocks during this time. So for the next month is a really great time. If you haven't checked out any of my hypnosis videos, go try some on. You'll be amazed at how relaxed you feel after listening to one. All right, let us see. Anything else? Mercury into Pisces, that's Thursday. It's wrapping up its time in Aquarius. So as we get to Friday, you will see, ta-da, Mercury is officially in the sign of Pisces at this time, as I promised. You will also see that Venus and Mars will stay close together, but Venus moves much quicker than Mars does. So she'll be starting to move ahead fairly quickly. So pay attention. While they do speak in conjunction, which is what this means, with each other, there's big important energy that is showing up for you, especially depending on where you have the Aquarius energy in your chart. So what do you want to be passionate about? What do you love? You have a couple of days to explore this energy. All right. So as I mentioned, what I wanted to spend the most time talking about is this full moon in Virgo that will be happening on really early morning hours on Saturday, the 24th. And when we have a full moon in Virgo, of course, that means that the sun is standing across the sky in the sign of Pisces. Whenever we have a full moon, we're in tension. It's opposition energy. And in order for the sun and the moon to get along, right, there has to be balance. The sun also is illuminating the moon, right? Without the sun, the moon does not have the light, right? And the moon rules our emotions, can be our physical body, and the sun in the sign of Pisces can have a lot to do with our health, our mental health, our physical health, our healing medicine that we need to heal. And when you look at a moon in Virgo, the healing can be more of I call it alternative healing. Things like hypnotherapy, things like going to a naturopath, using crystals, using essential oils, different types of healing modalities. Where when I think about Piscean energy, I think of it more as literal medicine, pharmacies, hospitals, nurses, and doctors. So there's something about the way you heal. There can be challenges out in the healing industry, but the Virgo energy can be very controlling. So from an emotional perspective, when the moon's in Virgo, we feel more in control of our emotions. And with the sun then shining a light, when you have better control than you normally do, can actually help you achieve a personal goal. So we have that tension. I like to call the Pisces energies, there's no boundaries, right? Water doesn't have boundaries unless it has earth with it. Virgo is earth, right? So this Virgo energy can help contain your emotions. And as a result of that, you might be able to resolve something or move through something that has been blocking you for quite some time. And then the other energy that you see that is coming up at this time, we want to look at, where's the ruler of Virgo? Well, that would be Mercury. And Mercury, of course, has just moved into the sign of Pisces. And it is close to its conjunction or cazimi with the sun. So it's not there yet, but it is helping you shine a light on, again, your thoughts. What do you need to learn? How are you communicating? And maybe is there something that you need to change, or maybe there's something you need to communicate to somebody. And with the sun being what rules over our success, our inner person, our ego self, there again is something maybe that you can learn at this time that could help you heal. And that way of healing may be some kind of alternative method to healing. Just one of the many scenarios, of course, that can show up for you. So when we look at other energies that are around the 5 degrees, of course, on the other side of the sun, we have that Saturn energy. Saturn brings stability. It can bring restriction. It can bring a seriousness. So that's, you've got 3 heavy duty hitters in the sign of Pisces, all opposing the moon. So that makes this a bit more intense because it's not just the sun alone shining. It is all of these together, which creates a stellium in the sign of Pisces. So there's a lot of water energy, very emotional. The moon is happy in the sign of Pisces. It's not as happy in the sign of Virgo. That's a lot of grounded, earthy energy for a water-ruled luminary, which is what the moon technically is. So there's the tension. There's a lot of emotions going on at this time. And we've got that newness of Pluto, which has moved up a bit in the sign of Aquarius off of that 0 degree. So we're starting to understand the work that we're supposed to be doing with this planet in the sign of Aquarius for the next 20 years, but we're still in the early phases of it. And that Pluto energy makes a bit of an odd angle back to the moon. So there could be some interesting influence that you don't necessarily notice up front, but you feel it. There's just something underneath the surface that has something to do with these endings, these conclusions, this goal that you're looking to achieve while you have the full moon in Virgo. It's always good to look back 6 months ago when we had the new moon in Virgo, because at that time you set some intentions. So they come true. Have you finished the work on them? Or is now the time to push everything across the finish line with the full moon in Virgo? We have some help from Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. It is a little bit wide, but Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. And because of that, it has a bigger influence than some others. So it's speaking in harmony with, again, still Saturn and the sun, and starting to have some influence over Mercury as well. Jupiter is a blessing. It's also things that bring us growth opportunities, and it still does bring us lessons, especially if we're trying to ignore lessons. But this is harmonious energy, so I would imagine that the lessons that you're learning are very positive and uplifting. And then when Jupiter expands on the moon, it is what helps our intuition, right, expand and grow and get bigger so that we notice it and we pay attention. Same thing with our feelings. If your feelings feel out of control and big, it's because there's something you're ignoring that you need to be paying close attention to at this time. Now, the other things that we have going on here are more subtle, but we do have the square between Mars and Venus, also with Jupiter. So while they're not directly a part of this full moon energy, they have a role because of the energy that they're creating at the time of the full moon. And the squares mean there's something that you need to change. And as far as like a relationship goes, if you're in it just for the sex, for instance, or maybe you're just in it for the money and there's no value, there's no purpose to it, then you will have a difficult conversation during the full moon that makes you either change the way and the direction that the relationship's going, or it may end the relationship, right? Full moons bring endings and they bring conclusions. So you might have something to think about as far as the relationships that you're pursuing at this time, if they don't mean something, if they're not making a difference, there's not value added, you may have some tough conversations during the full moon. All right, now if you want to break down by sign, sun, moon, and rising, check out my article. I'll have the link down below. And if you want to work with me, certainly book a session before the full moon so we can take a look at how this will impact you based on your natal chart. And to create your natal chart, you just need to know your birth time, birthplace, obviously birth location. And if you don't know it, there's still a lot of things that we can look at from a solar chart, which puts the sun in your first house. So don't worry that you can't do a reading if you don't know that, but it is very helpful. And do create a free birth chart out there on any of the sites like astro.com so that when you listen to my video or anybody else's, you can more easily follow along and know which houses will be impacted. Because when you read my article, I use whole sign houses, and that means that yours, based on Placidus, like I use here, doesn't have 0 degrees at the beginning of your houses. So you can see that it can slightly change what is happening for you when you know specifically where this is all happening in your chart. Okay, let's take a quick look. I think I've covered everything I wanted for the full moon in Virgo. And the last day of the week, we won't see a lot of shifts. You'll see the moon still going to be in the sign of Virgo, but it will have moved forward. And as it does, it's having a conversation with Uranus, which is about freedom, breaking free, innovation, surprises. So there could be some emotional surprises this week with the culmination of the energy of the full moon. So especially on Sunday, you may really feel the desire to get out of here and do something different. You'll notice now too that we have finally Chiron moving forward and starting to make some space as the North Node moves retrograde. So the intensity of the lessons between these two can start to diminish a bit, but there's still some time that these obviously are going to be close together, but you may feel a little bit of a relief from that pressure. And then everything else on Sunday is really still the after effects of that full moon energy. Venus and Mars are still close together. Of course, Pluto's still at 1 degree. And we're seeing that Mercury, the Sun, and Saturn are working closely together as well. So that's it. A pretty quick astro lesson this week. Do tune in later and check out what the tarot card messages are along with this astro lesson for that full moon in Virgo. And leave your comments below and let me know how the week turns out for you. Thank you so much for taking time with me today. I truly appreciate you. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I'm sending you lots of astro love. Thanks, everybody.